Okay, so today I am going to show you how I batch cook on a budget. One of the challenges with eating on a very tight budget and only buying yellow sticker deals, reduced to clear, or when you can get something with a gift card, so free, is that you can't pick and choose. And if you're going to eat on a very tight budget, you cannot afford to be a fussy eater, and you will get used to eating the same meals over and over. I read a poll not that long ago that said that there was this huge number of people who found it unacceptable to eat the same meal twice in a row, which I find really strange, because as someone who home cooks all the time and does their own thing, I like the meals that I cook. I quite enjoy eating the same thing over again if it's a nice meal. So what I'm doing today is I have lots of veg that I've recently bought on yellow stickers over the last couple of weeks, and some of it now needs urgently using up. And because I don't waste anything, I go through what I have in the fridge and in my veg bag, and I pick out the things that need using now, so that they don't go to waste. So today I am going to make a winter casserole, which is a fairly standard thing for me, and it depends again what I have. This really was inspired because the other day I bought 3 Swedes for 28p each. They are in yellow sticker, and these make a really great basis for a casserole. They have a good taste, and when added with the other ingredients they work really well. So the other things I have here, garlic, a couple of cloves of garlic are going to go in there. I have quite a few parsnips which I need to use up. I have a few carrots which I don't, but they're a nice addition. Potatoes, as you can see, they're starting to sprout, so I need to trim those little bits off and put those in. I have lots of cherry tomatoes which I recently bought about 6 bags, and some of those need using now. Other additions that I'm putting into this are a single stock cube, which just adds an edge to it. I also have some, it's a broth mix. It's got everything in there. You've got your lentils, you've got your pearl barley, there's some little pasta tubes. I bought 3 bags of this on a yellow sticker 2 years ago, and it's done me really well, and this is the last of it. I'm not going to use it all. A couple of handfuls of this in a casserole dish or a winter soup or something similar just adds a nice little a weighty edge to it. But if you don't have something like this, you can throw in a couple of handfuls of oats, which I often do, or a couple of handfuls of rice, or even pasta. It depends entirely on your taste. This is a nice, simple, easy vegetarian meal. I eat anything. You can't afford to be fussy, as I say, so I am happy to try anything once. I happen to have a lot of chicken in at the moment, because I had a free basket reward from Morrison's, so I bought a bag of frozen chicken, which will last me, God, probably 4 or 5 months, I would imagine. So I'm going to put chicken in mine. So I'm going to, and the other thing that I have is a couple of winters ago, or a couple of autumns ago, I collected lots of sweet chestnuts from the woods near my parents. And I've had these in the freezer because they freeze really well. They're quite tricky to open up. What you need to do is, these have been frozen, so what I will do is put these in boiling water for a couple of minutes, and then I can just chop open the shells, get the insides out, and I'm just going to mix that in because it's a really nice taste for a casserole. So that's pretty much everything I'm going to put in. I have a few other veggies in my fridge, but I can use those for other things, and I don't want to put everything into this meal, otherwise I'm going to be eating this for weeks and weeks. I am batch cooking this because I'm going to keep enough out for a couple of days, and the rest of it's going to go into the freezer because I now have some freezer space. So I'm now going to chop all these veggies up. I'm going to prep the chicken, which I will do straight into my pan. I have a lovely big hob. This is actually a pressure cooker that I was gifted a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, and the base of it is a lovely huge cooking pot, and I use this when I'm batch cooking soups or anything where there's going to be a lot here. As I chop this up, I may well add a few more of these in. So I'm going to get started and prep all of this, and then I will show you what I do next and then how I'm going to store it and use it. So I'm going to attempt a new recording method for the next section, because it's going to be really boring if you have to watch me chopping veg for the next 20 minutes. So I shall give that a go, and if that works, I've learned something new about how to record for YouTube. Okay, so the vegetables are now all chopped. I am boiling the water for my chestnuts, and while that's happening, I am going to start cooking the chicken first. So this is a 1 pan meal because I hate washing up. So a bit of oil in the bottom of the pan, get that on. Chicken and the garlic can go in there, and we're just going to let that lightly cook through, because most of the cooking will happen when everything else is in together anyway, so that's not a problem. So yeah, we've got quite a lot of vegetables. I think that'll be enough, although it will break down, of course, so it won't look as much once it's all cooked down. So that's the hot water for the chestnuts, and I will let that soak for a couple of minutes, because that will make them easier to cut out and peel. Chicken's now doing its thing. So just stir that around with the garlic and the oil. Let go a bit. As I say, this doesn't have to be cooked all the way through, because most of the cooking process will happen once all the vegetables go in and the water goes in. Okay, I need water. Water. How much depends entirely on how much you're putting into the pan, because it doesn't need to cover it completely. I don't want to end up with a really watery casserole mix. So that looks done to me. So I'm going to turn that off. Now I'm going to start putting in the vegetables. There's one. I'm going to put the stock cube in halfway through so that it's nicely nestled in the middle. That's that. Second batch of veg, and we are full. This is very full, so that's perfect. That's exactly what I need. Okay, so now let's put some water in. and I just need to see that it goes up to a certain level. I usually allow it to be a couple of inches from the top, because once it starts to cook, those bottom layers will start to break down and all the veg will just sink down in the pan. So we'll put that back on high because that's going to take a while to get up to heat. And let it do its thing. And while I wait for that, I'm going to start peeling my sweet chestnuts, which will then go into the mix towards the end, along with the tomatoes. Once this starts to boil, I will put some of this in. So I will come back to you after I've done the chestnuts, because that's going to take a while. Okay, everything is in the pan now and merrily simmering away, as you can hear. And it's just a case of waiting now for that to be ready. And I shall then show you the finished article. This is probably one of my most labour intensive meals because of all the chopping, and of course I've added the sweet chestnuts, which are really fiddly as well, so that doesn't help. But once this is done and I have all my batched up portions in the freezer, this is a 5-minute meal. You take one out the freezer the night before, leave it in the fridge, come meal time, stick it in a saucepan, 5 minutes and it's done. It's quick and easy and it really does taste the best. So I'm going to wait for this to be ready and I shall show you the finished article. So here is lunch, because I tend to make my lunchtime meal my biggest cook. It just works best for me. This tastes really good. It's got everything you need in it, and it'll help me power through the afternoon on really dull, depressing days like today, where it's very overcast, it's very dark. It's not terribly cold, but a meal like this is just spot on. Once the rest of it has cooled down, I'm going to bag it for the freezer. So I'll show you that bit and then we'll be done. Okay, I've batched up what's left of the casserole. I put some in the fridge so I can have that for lunch tomorrow. And this is what is left. I've managed to make 3 small food bags. Now, very often I will use Tupperware boxes. I've acquired over the years loads of those Chinese takeaway boxes, and they're great for storing in the freezer. But all mine are full and in the freezer at the moment. And this works just as well. And of course this takes up less room because I don't have to deal with the plastic as well. And I reuse all my food bags. So these have come from other foods I've been given. I don't buy plastic food bags for storage, but I keep them when I get them, and I wash them out, dry them and reuse them as well. And I have absolutely stacks of the things. So they come in really handy for storing, you know, anything in the freezer really. So that's 3 meals there. If I make bread, that might be 6 meals, because I'll beef it up with a nice slice of homemade soda bread on the side. So that's 3 more meals that I don't have to worry about. And yeah, so I've just saved myself a lot of time with that. And this is a good way to reuse the veg that otherwise may not have lasted until the end of the month. So that's it for batch cooking on a budget. I think that's a fairly comprehensive example of the sort of quick cooking that I do. And it means that nothing goes to waste. You know, all those yellow sticker foods that I've used, everything's gone into meals. Everything's been eaten. And yeah, we're just doing our best and eating on the cheap. So that's it for now.